Good evening, everyone. I hope your weekend was good, right? So we are into the session of AWS. Today is the very first session of AWS Cloud Computing, Amazon Web Services Solutions Architect. Now, we are going to start with the AWS screen today. And I'm pretty sure that you are already familiar with your networking and all those things, and you are pretty much doing all those things. So let's dive into it. Now, the first things first, everybody requires to have an account with AWS. In case you do not have one, you can quickly click on this orange button that you probably are seeing on your screens. Create an AWS account, right? So I already have an account, so I shall not be clicking on this orange button. Instead, I shall hover on this particular drop down and click on AWS Management Console. Now, this Management Console is the interface that we had talked about earlier, through which we can manage the data centers that AWS is providing to us, right? So let us go for AWS Management Console over here. So once you get an account with AWS, it is free for 1 year of time. That means certain services are there which you can use free of cost for 1 year of time. You don't need to pay a penny for them. And certain services are there, they're always charged. So I'll make sure that I tell you which services are charged and which are free whenever I am like switching on some service and trying to explain you that one, right? So every single service you work with, I'll be giving you a complete idea which one is free of cost and which one is charged, and you can decide your practice planning accordingly. All right, let me log in over here. So now when you have got an account, you are supposed to log in with a root user. That will be your email ID. You have to write over here whichever email ID you're logging in with, and you have to select root user. In the next screen, it shall be asking you for the password. Now, the account I'm using, this is a Teqstories proprietary account. So here we are, or let's say the trainer partners are logging in by an IAM user. Now, IAM is a module that you have to learn in AWS, and that will probably come as the very last topic in your course. However, so the idea is more or less like this, that it is like a like let's say you got your Windows desktop, right? And there are multiple users you can create over there, correct? So let's say in a family there are 4 people. Everybody can use the same Windows machine. You can create different users for them. So one user will not be able to see the contents of the other user. Not exactly like that, but there are certain privileges, like some user is an administrator user, some user is just a guest user, right? This kind of things we can create here also. So that is a topic for the discussion in the very last part of our entire AWS course. But that is what is activated over here, and for that reason I'm logging in using the IAM user option, right? You should use the root user for your accounts. So once I select this, it will ask me for my name and for the password, right? For a root user, it is just the email ID and the password. There is no name separately, but here there is a name and password, you can see. So the name is going to be Vishal and the password is going to be, I'm not going to say it. So once we sign in over here, this is the screen that gets presented to you. Now over here, let us just take a little, kind of walk through this particular screen. So first of all, this is the AWS logo. So if you click on that, it will just, again take you back to the same screen. Nothing happens, honestly. There's the services drop down. If I click on this, it will open up all the services that AWS offers to the users. Okay, it is like all the services. Now, not everything you are required to learn, because not everything falls into the category of solutions architect. It is like targeted towards a wide variety of audiences. So like let's say machine learning experts, they also have certain things to do over here. Data science experts, certain things to do over here. Developers have got certain things to do over here. So they're basically different categories of audience they're targeting. So you have everything over here scattered across, but we shall be picking up whatever we need, and that we shall see in our successive classes. Another very important thing is over here is this one, right? That says North Virginia. You can see over here. If I click on this, you'll find out there are 20 different names. The count is 20. You can count it out if you want to. So now, out of them, the first 4 are the US based regions. Okay, these are called regions. Regions means they are the actual physical places where AWS have got their data centers established. I do not mean by 20 regions, I do not mean that there are only 20 places, 20 data centers, because in each place there can be multiple data centers, right? Like North Virginia has 6 data centers. Ohio, if I'm not wrong, has 3 data centers. California 2, Oregon, I think once again 2. So each place have multiple number of data centers. All right. So the first one that is selected over here is North Virginia. You can select whatever you want. For your case, it might not be North Virginia, it might be Ohio, because typically that is where it starts with. So once you got an account with AWS, you can open up any of the regions, you can start working with them. The screen looks absolutely the same. Let me change the region and show it to you. Let's say I'm right now at North Virginia. If you go to North California, it will take a little time to just reload the page. and you can see once again it's similar looking page, just that the region has changed. Okay, so whenever you create the several resources, let's say some resource you're creating in Virginia, they remain in Virginia. Some resource you're creating in, let's say, California, they remain in California. You know one thing, right? That when you have a server, a physical server that you are trying to kind of communicate with. Now, if the server is far away from you, I mean the geographical distance, then that's that takes a lot of time for the data to actually, for your request to actually travel to the server and the response to come back, because the geographical distance is more. The data actually has to travel, right? The bytes actually have to travel. So typically we try to choose that wherever our audience is. Like say for example, I'm working on a project for a certain ABCD company. Now this ABCD company, this project that I'm working on, now that company, that particular project is targeted toward the Australian audience. Now if it is targeted towards the Australian audience, there is no point in having my server in Mumbai. I mean, in India, you have Mumbai is the only place where you have in India. So there is no point in having the server in Mumbai just because I am sitting in India, right? So if my audience is Australian audience, I'll probably select Sydney. Sydney, you can see is a city of Australia. Right, so we have to select the place and we have to, let's say, get our infrastructure set up in a particular location which is beneficial for our customers, the kind of potential customer we are trying to target. All right, so your client basically in your project. So now here you can see that I typically stick to these 4 zones because of 2 primary reasons. Number one, that the North Virginia is typically the one that I use. Now majority of my students, the student base that I have who I train, they are from USA, so that is one thing. And the second thing that comes into picture is that the US regions are cheapest among all these things. I mean, if I give you a comparison, if I take an US region and let us say I'm launching a server and that server is charging me, let's say 10 rupees per hour. Okay, it is, let's say, 10 rupees per hour. The similar kind of a server, if I try to launch in Singapore, I'll be incurred a charge of, let's say, 20 rupees an hour. So it is like the double. So for a small server, 10 rupees is fine. Now think about a very big server, like let's say, like 1,000 rupees per hour. So this becomes 2,000 rupees per hour. So ultimately, it is like 100% increment. You can understand that's a huge change of cost. If a project cost was supposed to be 100 crores, it ends up becoming 200 crores just because you took Singapore. So I mean to say is that, one, if you have a client-based this thing consideration that you need to keep in mind, then you can go for the region where your audience is, and that should be the first priority. Secondary priority should be on the region that is cheaper, right? And because I'm using this account for training purposes, I do not need to go for the client-specific requirements. Yes, one is the US because of the US people. Majority you can see that anyway I'm doing, but the cheaper regions are over here, the US region. So once again, I'm getting a benefit out over there. So I'd suggest you to stick to the US zones. There is no requirement of coming to Mumbai just because, let's say, you're from India, or coming to, let's say, for example, some other place because you belong to there. Simply stick onto the US zones. They are pretty cheap and pretty nice. Okay, so I'll come back to North Virginia. Now here we can do a lot of things. Okay, it is very much tempting to go and quickly, let's say, launch a server and do this, do that. We can do a lot of things, but we shall not do it yet. Well, we shall not do it yet. What we shall do is that, first of all, today we shall be seeing that all the networking that you have learned, right? You know that how networking works and things like that. Now what we shall be trying to do is that we'll be trying to set up our own network first of all on AWS. So now AWS is also new, launching a machine is also new. Let's not do it. We already know networking, so let us try to just put the networking concepts that you have learned so far on our AWS platform. Let us see how it works out. So we shall go for services, and if I scroll down way below over here, there is a section that says networking and content delivery. Here you have an option called VPC. Select this one. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. Now Virtual Private Cloud is essentially what we call a network in our typical terminology. You can see all the things that you have learned about so far: subnets, routing tables, internet gateways, NAT. All these things are present over here. So this is your network controller basically. This is where you build your network and you control that. So we shall see how we can create a network of our own, right? So it is once again tempting to click on this orange button that says launch VPC wizard, but we shall not be using that. Okay, we shall directly coming to your VPCs, this link, right? You can either click here or you can click here. Both of them are fine. So we can see that we have already got two VPCs running up over here, so we shall not touch them. We shall create our own. When you come into over here for the very first time, you are supposed to see one, not two. And by the name you can understand this is a name that is customly given by me, right? So default is something that is still believable, but my VPC cannot be something that is getting defaultly shipped with AWS, right? I think you get it. So we're going to create another one. I'm going to call that thing, let's say my VPC 2 this time, okay? And we talked a lot about IPv4 CIDR blocks, right? We talked a lot about CIDR blocks. Now I'm going to give it a CIDR block of, let's say, for example, 192.168.1.0/27. So that is going to give us 32 IP addresses, as you know by the calculation, by the formula we have talked about. It gives us 32 IP addresses. So we're going to get 32 IP addresses in this particular VPC. That means you're going to be able to connect at most 32 machines on this particular network, even though practically the number will be much lesser, right? So that is the first thing that I have done. If I select this one and I can increase this guy a little bit, this field, you can see that CIDR is being shown over here. If you come below, you have your, like all the details and all those things, right? IPv4 CIDR over here, DNS resolution enabled, and every single thing is coming up. So now this one that we got over here, my VPC2 over here, right? And everything is working. What we shall be doing over here is that we shall be creating our subnets, because you know that AWS works in the subnetwork mode. That means just by getting a network, you are no longer not being able to go to the, like launching a server and things like that within it. You need to have a subnet with yourself. Unless you have a subnet, this server launching is just a dream, and it remains a dream, right? So first things first, let's quickly go and quickly create subnets. You know the theory of subnets, we have already learned it. So we shall go for creating a subnet directly, and we shall call this thing, let's say, my sub 1. All right, it is my subnet 1. I'm going to select the network that I just now created, my VPC2, and it is asking for the preference of the availability zone. You can see there is no star mark over here, so star means mandatory or required field. You can see it is written over here. So because there is no star mark over here, you can understand that if I leave it to no preference, I'm not going to get harmed for that. But now here is something you need to understand. So an availability zone is a real data center which is present in this particular region, right? I talked about the presence of multiple data centers within a region. So in this region, there are 6 data centers, I told you. So all those 6 data centers are enlisted over here, you can see, okay? So US East 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F, A, B, C, D, E, F. There are 6 data centers that are coming up over here. So you can select anything. Now, typically, the best practices say that if you have a network and you are distributing that network into, let's say, multiple subnets, you are ideally supposed to keep them into different availability zones and not on the single one, okay? That's what you're ideally supposed to do. So let's select US East 1A over here, let's say, for this one, right? Now this one I want it to be exactly the half of the entire network. So I want the network to be distributed into 2 equal hubs. So I'm going to write down the IPv4 CIDR block. You know the rule already. It is going to be just increased by 1, the mask. So it was 27 over here. It is going to be 28. All right. Creating this. Okay. So you can see my sub 1 comes into picture. And it says 11 IPs available, right? So now there is a point we have to explain. If we had altogether 32 IP addresses and we are planning to actually break it down into 2 equal hubs, it is supposed to be 16 and 16. How come this becomes 11? Well, once again, the same thing that comes into picture over here is the explanation that I had given you while guiding you on networks. That is, on AWS, we lose 5 IPs per subnet. The reason you already know, right? I guess you remember it. The first one is going for the loop back, the second one goes for the router, third and fourth for the emergency purpose IPs, and the last one goes for the broadcast, right? You can just rewatch your networking videos in case you are having a little doubt on that, and you can ask me this thing tomorrow. All right, so you can see my sub 1 that has got 11 IPs available. We're going to create another subnet quickly, and I'm going to call this thing my sub 2. This is, you can understand, is the other half. So the first half we have taken already. I'm going to put it in US East 1B. That is the second availability zone, the second data center. So I'm already spreading across my network into multiple data centers, right? Each subnet going in each data center. So I'm going to make this thing 192.168.1.28, sorry, 32/28. All right, that is the IP address for the second one, not 32.16. Yes, this is correct. So we're creating this one as well. Okay, and you can see that my sub 1 and my sub 2 both are there. You can actually just write down the word my sub, the common part of these names, so that it just shows you these two results instead of showing all of them. So my sub 1 and my sub 2 are coming up over here, and you can pretty much see that they're working out. Now here, what I want to do after this is that I want to actually create the routing tables. You know the flow, right? Network, subnet, routing table, internet gateway. That is the flow. So you can see that is exactly organized in the same pattern. So let us go to the routing tables right now. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to create two routing tables. I'm going to call this thing my RTB, which means routing table, my routing table 1, which goes to our VPC. Now notice over here, ideally your routing table is supposed to get connected with your subnet, but here if you see, there is no subnet right now. We are directly connecting the VPC. So what is the catch over here? You will understand it in the next screen. As soon as I click on create, you will see that it is created. So my RTB1 comes into picture. Let me quickly create the other one also, and then I shall explain you the VPC and the subnet part. My RTB2, again connecting the same network. So by connecting the network over here with the VPC, with the routing table, what we are essentially telling is that we are telling that this particular routing table must be associated with a subnet that belongs to the selected VPC, right? That's the idea. We are not connecting directly the VPC in that particular screen. We can connect it over here, actually, the subnet. We are not directly connecting the subnet over here directly. We are connecting the VPC, and the reason behind it is we're going to say that when I'm trying to attach a subnet with you, it is only going to support the subnets that belong to the VPC that we have selected in the previous screen. So let me connect it with subnets. So you can see there is a field that says explicit subnet association, and you can see it is empty as of now. Right click on this, go to edit subnet association, and you can select for my routing table 1, I'm going to select subnet 1, okay, my sub 1, this one. I'll click on save, and now you can see the subnet ID is coming over here, right? This ID which I'll see by matching with the actual subnet, so don't worry about it. The second one is subnet association once again, and connecting the second subnet. So you can check it out very easily over here that the one ending with 30A is connected with routing table 1, and the one with 37F connected with routing table 2. Let's just cross validate whether 30A is your subnet 1 or not, and 37F is subnet 2 or not. They should be like that. And once we reach over here, we find out that my sub 2 is essentially 37F and my sub 1 is essentially 30A, right? So we are pretty sure about our connections. So now the connectivity has been established with our routers with this particular thing. Now what we have to do is that we have to come to internet gateway. We need to create an internet gateway over here. So create internet gateway. I'm going to call this thing my internet gateway. IGW stands for internet gateway. Okay. Now this one over here is pretty much created, but you can see the state says detached. Now if you have an internet gateway, we know the use of it, right? So what we are trying to do with an internet gateway, we are trying to do a communication with the other machines on the internet, right? With our machine. So if you want to do that, then first of all, I need to connect it with our network. Otherwise, how shall I know that from where I'm going to allow the machines to communicate? I need to connect with the network. For this thing, I shall go to actions. I'll select the first option that says attach to VPC. And you can see, you can select your VPC over here, my VPC2. Now there is a reason why the others are not coming, okay? And if you have watched my previous videos, you already know that why the others are not coming, right? One internet gateway can remain connected to only one single network. And one single network can remain connected to only one single internet gateway, because all the other networks that I had, the default and the my VPC, the original ones, these two are already connected to their respective internet gateways. So therefore that option is not even coming over here, right? So once we attached our gateway with this particular thing, right, my IGW, the capital one, this is the one that we created right now. We can come to our routing tables back and we can select my RTB1. So now it is on us whether I want the internet connection to be on both the subnets, on one of them, whichever one of them, right? Let me come to here, let me select routes, and here if I click on edit routes, I can write down the destination as the internet. Now if you remember, internet is 0000/0, that was internet, right? So I'm going to select this and the target is going to be my internet gateway, which is this one. Click on save routes, and as soon as you do so, now you're pretty much happy about the connection. You should be, because actually the connection is completely set up right now. So you had a network, you distributed the network into two equal parts, you made it my sub 1, my sub 2, you connected each of the part with each of their own routing tables. That means individual routers you found out over there. And then you have your internet gateway, and in the internet gateway you can see we have created the internet gateway connected with the my VPC2. We came back to the routing table, so you selected the my routing table 2. No, here we did not do anything. You can see there is only one single route over here, but in this one you have both the routes, right? I'm pretty sure you already know that why this local connection is coming, right? That is, once again, just refer to the previous lecture. So you can see that pretty much our network setup has been nicely done over here, right? Our network setup has been nicely done over here. We are pretty much set up with our network, and we are very good to go in launching our servers. All right. So let us quickly go ahead and let us try to launch a server within this particular network just to figure out whether it is working nicely or not. So you shall go to services in the compute, right? Computing, I told you, compute means servers. You can see under EC2, if we go, EC2 is the service that talks about servers. So VPC, you understand, is a service that talks about networks, subnets, and all the networking components. EC2 is a service that talks about servers. There is an orange button over here. There is no harm in clicking this. It says launch instance. And as soon as we do so, we have this screen coming for us, okay? So now, once you learn the Linux fundamentals, we should be going with the Linux machines over here. You can see there is a lot of machine images, right? So this screen is called the Amazon machine image screen. We are trying to choose an Amazon machine image over here. So you can see there are multiple images that is coming over here. One is Amazon Linux 2, Amazon Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. This is a very famous one, RHEL. So you can see a lot of things are coming over here. We shall be going for Windows, let's say, okay, just for today. If I search for Windows, I get Windows Server 2019 base. Now remember, you're not going to find out the consumer grade operating systems over here. Like there is no Windows 10 or Windows 7 or things like that. It is going to be server grade operating systems. Server grade operating systems, there used to be earlier Windows 2008, 2012, 16, all those things, but since 2020 has rolled in, they have removed all those things. Till 2019 December, those options were there. Now the latest version of Windows Server that has got released from Microsoft is Windows Server 2019, and you can see that over here, available for free. This banner makes a lot of sense. You can see not for everything this banner is there. Free tier eligible. It means this particular AMI or Amazon machine image, which essentially means the software part. If you take this, software is going to come free of cost for you, right? So Amazon is paying the licensing charge. You don't need to pay anything. Select this. The second screen, it asks you to select the machine that you want this particular software to be launched on. That means, let's say, just understand this in this way. So you get Windows 10 on a Lenovo laptop, you get Windows 10 on a Dell laptop, you get Windows 10 on an HP laptop. It can be a 4GB RAM machine, 8GB RAM machine. So the hardware specification might be different. You still get Windows 10. Similarly, we told that we want to have Windows Server 2019. Now it is asking that which hardware component connection, which hardware configuration we need. It is asking us, all right? So what we're going to do over here, we're going to actually select the one that is already selected, that is T2 Micro. Now T2 Micro is a particular hardware which is free of cost. You can use it in the first 1 year, okay? Here in the third screen, you can see there is a section that talks about the network, subnets, and the auto-assignment of public IP. Now this is very important, okay? What we want to do, we'll just focus on these three things right now. We'll not look into the other things and neither of the other tabs, because honestly, server technology is a separate chapter. You shall be learning all these things once again in details. This time I'm just rushing forward so that you don't lose your focus. The focus is the network. The focus is not the servers over here, okay? We just want to launch a server just to see that it is working. That's the purpose. So we're going to take the network as the network we created called my VPC2. You can see the subnets are coming in the drop down. My sub 1 at the bottom and my sub 2 on the top. Let's say my sub 1 I want to take. Now if you remember, we had connected our internet gateway with this particular subnet. That means if we give it public IP address, Now this is the auto assignment of public IP. I'm enabling this. I'm telling now give it a public IP. So if I automatically assign this machine, the machine that I'm going to launch, a public IP address, then this machine can be reached from my local desktop. Why? Because it has got a public IP and it has got an internet gateway, so it is reachable over the internet. Let us quickly go over there and click on review and launch this button. Okay, as soon as you do so, you can click on launch. It gives you this dialog box which says that choose an existing key pair. So basically for you this drop down will come empty, there will be nothing. For the very first time, just go to create a new key pair, write down a name of a key pair, whatever you want. Let's say I'm just writing now Teqstories test something, and then you can click on download key pair. That's the only thing you have to do. Just keep the file downloaded with yourself, do not lose it. Okay, so I have already got my file downloaded myself. I can go for choose an existing key pair and I can select this one in VKP laptop that is there in this machine. I need to acknowledge that I have it and click on launch. Now you can see the server is actually starting up, right? It has got an IP address as well, so you can actually go and connect to this particular server. Let's wait for the machine to start up. Now Windows machines typically, even after starting up, it takes you around 4 minutes of time to get ready. Whereas the Linux machines, it takes around 40 seconds, that's it. I mean, after it is launched, it does not need anything. Once it is started, it is started. But here, even after it is started, if I refresh, it has been started already. You can see it is still running, the green color. So here you can see that it is already running. So, but still, if I try to get the password of this machine, because you know, Windows machine requires a password, right? And if you have noticed, in the entire place, I have never written a username and a password. So the username and the password will come auto-generated for me. The username is always common. It is always the same. It is called administrator. But the password shall be automatically generated. Now, if I try to do that right now, get Windows password, it shall tell me that please wait for at least 4 minutes of time. All right. You can see it over here. So let us wait for some time and let us try to get into the picture till that point. So the things that you have seen so far was what? Once again, a little recap. Creating a network, creating a network, then creating a subnet, then creating the routing tables, connecting the routing tables with the subnets individually one by one, and then creating the internet gateway and ultimately connecting it. So that is the entire thing that we have done so far. Now let's wait for some time for the thing to come up. No, not yet. Let's just wait for some time. Shall we clicking on this try again button once? No, not yet ready. Okay. And here we go. You can see it is asking us to choose the key pair file, right? So now I know where it is. I'll quickly open up this one. I'll go to D drive and here I have the file, right? So in VKP it should be somewhere. This is the one. So I need to supply this one. So you can either click on choose file and come here, or else you can just, so if I hold it over here, it will automatically take it. So you can see all the data of that file is coming up. You don't need to read it. Just click on decrypt password. And you will find out this is the username I told you, administrator, and the password is coming up over here. That means these two things are going to get you an access to this particular machine. Let's try to do it. Okay, so I shall be just opening up the MSTSC, which basically means your remote desktop connection, and I shall be writing down this particular IP address that I have over here. Copy this IP address. The machine you want to connect, if it is a Windows machine, you typically connect with remote desktop connection. I just pressed Windows key and R, which gave me the run dialog box. I wrote over there MSTSC. Okay, MSTSC is a short for that. All right, and you can see the username coming over here. Copy and paste it. The password coming over here. There is a button. You can just click it. It will copy it automatically. That doesn't happen for the other two. And you click on OK. So it will be actually showcasing you one certificate page. Just click on yes, and as soon as you click on yes, you should be getting the screen feed coming from the machine that you have launched. So understand this now. You have launched a machine in North Virginia. From there, from your home, you're connecting to that machine in North Virginia through your laptop. Through the cloud computing interface, you could make it possible to launch the machine in North Virginia, and through the remote desktop connection that is inbuilt on your Windows machines. If you're on Linux or Mac, then you do not have it. Unfortunately, you have to download a client for that, a Windows client, but on a Windows machine it is already there. So you can see that we can pretty much enter over here, and this machine is coming up from North Virginia, right? And we can check it out very easily. I just clicked on no without understanding what that was. Anyway, so we can check it out that this is coming from North Virginia. It's very easy. What we can do is that we can copy this IP address and we can try to put it in an IP tracker to find out that from where this IP is coming. IP tracker, okay. You can see IP tracker, open tracker. Let's go over here and let's try to feed this IP address, try to find out that where this IP is coming from. Type an IP address to track, click on search, and as soon as I do it, you can see the city is Ashburn and the region is Virginia, United States. So coming from United States and Ashburn, so Ashburn is definitely a city which is present in North Virginia. Let us check it out. Yes, Ashburn, Virginia, right? You can see this thing. So you can pretty much understand that this particular machine is actually running on North Virginia itself. That is the IP address. And if you see, there are details, a set of details has come over here, like how much RAM this machine has and whatever it has. And this is a complete Windows server machine, okay? This is not my desktop. This is a Windows server that I just now launched within the network that we created. All right. We shall not move any further today. So this session, we shall keep it over here. We have understood a lot of things over here. We have understood how to create a network on AWS platform, how to create a subnet, routing tables, and your internet gateway, and ultimately edit the routes accordingly, then launch a server, and then ultimately connect to that server from your local machine, no matter geographically where you are present and where the data center you have taken. I hope this session was enjoyable. You learned a lot of things. Now I'll expect you to get your AWS accounts ready by the next session, and you will also have these things practiced by yourself, because you understand, right? Every day's practice. If you keep on doing every single day, then it becomes a little bit less burden. But if things keep on gathering because of non-practicing and all those things, then it might end up becoming a little of a burden at the end of the week or somewhere, right? So thank you so much once again for attending the session, and I'm pretty sure you enjoyed this, right? Practice it out by yourself. We shall meet you in the next session. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.